Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome in. My name is Amy and this channel is all about traveling and what it's like to live abroad. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 tips and tricks on what it's like to take a taxi in Albania. Today, we're going to talk about what to look out for, what may happen, and your typical experience riding in an Albanian taxi.
One thing I love about Albania is that in most neighborhoods, especially cities like Tirana, you can find almost anything within walking distance. Cafes, bakeries, markets, pharmacies, little shops, all right there. But there are definitely moments when taking a cab just makes more sense. If you're going to or from the airport, if it's late at night, if you're, carrying heavy grocery bags or luggage, a cab can definitely save you a lot of time and energy. So even though Albania is very walkable, knowing how to grab a taxi when you really need one is super helpful. Before we begin, we have to ask ourselves, what does an Albanian taxi actually look like? Well, the first one you see here is our traditional yellow and black taxi. This is something that many of us are used to. The second one is the green and white taxi. Now, these are the more modern ones, the ones that you'll see more often. And the third one is also considered luxury. This one is all white and it will have some sort of multicolored design or pictures in the back. No matter what the size, shape, or color of the taxi is, there's one thing I can promise you. Regulated taxis in Albania will always have the word taxi or tax on it, and it will have the number of the car and or the number of the taxi cab company on the side or in the back. You'll know who's the real deal and always be safe. Or you can walk a block or two and stand in front of one of these signs because the only cars that are allowed to park in front of those signs are regulated taxis. For tip number 1, we're going to discuss how to get a taxi. Now there's 2 ways you can do this, but there's one way I prefer. Now before you make a trip to Albania, you can go on your app store. This is what I have here. And you can find an app to download. As you can see, I did download a taxi app when I lived in Italy. But I'm going to tell you why I prefer to hail a taxi, because that app and all the apps give me trouble. I find that hailing a taxi is much easier than trying to download an app because I don't have to worry about losing service or, something going wrong with my SIM card and I can't use the internet. And as you can see, whoever is available will pull over for you. And as you can see on the side of the car, they have everything that they need, the name of the taxi and the phone number. And all I did was show him the directions and he agreed and we were on our way. Whether the taxi is brand new or traditional, as you can see, the inside is clean, it smelled great, the windows were nice and clear, and you don't have to worry about feeling boxed in or like you're sharing a little clown car. And let me tell you, I remember being in some very trashy cabs back in the US. But one thing I'm going to tell you is that Albanians take care of their cars. They love cars more than they love houses. As you can see here, they put only the best of the best out as far as displaying their cars. For tip number 2, it's very important for you to allow the driver to see the GPS from your phone. You can use Apple Maps, Google Maps, because Albanian addresses are not the same as what we're used to in the States. Tip number 3, I know it's going to make some of y'all mad, but please don't take this personal. If you have a male in your traveling group, a man, allow him to provide the directions to the taxi cab drivers. You will get a better response that way because listen, Albanians are a little bit more traditional where they see the men as a protector and the literal guides to a lot of things. You can see here my dad is talking to the taxi cab driver and the directions were well received. And if you're a woman traveling alone, this doesn't mean that you're doomed, but we all know what happens to men and directions. Tip number 4 is make sure that they have a taxi meter, okay? As you can see, this helps you keep track of your bill and help you understand what you need to pay at the end of the ride. Now on the taxi meter, you may see a number like this or a number like this. Please do not panic. That does not mean that you're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a taxi cab ride, okay? I did the calculations, and 600.0 lek just equals $7.21 in USD. And speaking of cash, tip number 5. Cabs only take cash. Do not take out your wallet and expect them to take Apple Pay or any sort of Google Pay. Now we're halfway there, and I promise you these next 5 tips are going to bring you from a beginner to a pro. Now with tip number 6, it's very important for you to know whether or not your cab driver speaks English. If they know English, they'll tell you all about the hidden spots in Albania that tourists don't know, and it takes away from those awkward silent cab rides you have to take when you're traveling abroad. Which brings me to tip number 7. If you want to know if they speak English, you can ask them, "A flišni anglisht?" I'll say that again. "A flišni anglisht?" Ooh, they're gonna love that. And in this situation here, the cab driver knew a lot of English, so much so that he asked me about my marital status. Now, I don't know, maybe he had a friend for me, but overall the conversation was so positive. They love to tell you about their experience in Albania. They're always interested to know why you're in Albania, and they are more than happy to tell you about the history of their beautiful country. Engaging in conversation with the cab driver can make you feel so much more relaxed, especially because traveling can get very stressful, and it can also make the ride actually go quicker. One thing that we have to understand as people is that we are very social creatures, and if we're not able to live that out and be social with those around us, it can make things very, very uncomfortable. And Albanians are not afraid to ask you straight, blunt questions, so don't get offended. It's just who they are, and it's just something that you'll get used to quickly. So the cab took us to Megatech, which I'm going to be making a video about soon, because when you move to a foreign country, you're going to need to know when and where and how to furnish your apartment or house. So stay tuned for that video. But my 8th tip to you is that as you're pulling up to your destination, gather your cash now. Do not wait for the cab to stop, because they have other rounds and other places to go. So they will be quick to get you out of their car. And as I mentioned earlier, you won't have to worry about guessing the price because everything will be on the meter, which will make your transaction much, much quicker. And my 9th tip to you is that when it's time for you to get out of the car, make sure that you ask the cab driver for their business card or information. This is the example of the card that I received. And for our final tip, you can ask the cab driver to wait for you while you shop if you're in an area where there are barely any cabs around. So now that our list is done, we are going to make our way into the shopping center to get all the pots and pans that we need to make a delicious meal tonight. Taxis in Albania aren't just about getting from one place to another. They're a big part of daily life and culture here. And for many locals, taxis are one of the easiest ways to get around quickly, whether it's heading to school or work or meeting friends and family. They reflect a pace of city life and even the way Albanians interact with each other. Friendly, direct, and very practical. Understanding how taxis work isn't just about avoiding overcharging or getting lost. It's a little window into everyday life here. A way to experience the city more like a local rather than a tourist. And I promise you, once you learn the ropes, taxis can actually make traveling in Albania feel effortless, safe, and even fun. And if you're anything like me, you're going to have to get used to not driving. You're going to have to get used to someone else literally being at the wheel. But don't worry, you're going to get used to it so quickly, especially when you don't have to fill up the gas tank, you know what I'm saying? So, just sit back, relax, remember these tips, and get the most out of your trip to Albania.
Hope this video helps. Like and subscribe for more content about living in Albania and living abroad.